Hey guys, welcome back. My video today, as promised, is going to be about my affordable beauty favorites. This was quite hard to make. The hardest part for me was picking the products because I only wanted to talk about products that I actually use as well. Like, I'm not going to be like, hey, this €2 concealer is fine, even though I use a €20 one and I never touch this one. Just kind of feels unfair. It's kind of hard for me because I want to adapt to different skin types, different skin tones, different kind of preferences. But first of all, the video will become too long. Second of all, I'll talk about products that I haven't used myself. Every time I upload a video like this, I will also upload a blog post in which I talk about other options that are recommended by my friends or people I know or, are really popular. Just some suggestions that you can try out yourself. But in my videos, I want to go in depth about products that I have actually used myself or I have firsthand experience with. Starting off with the basics, which is primer. I have one from The Ordinary and one from Catrice. I am dry skinned, I like a dewy glowy look, so I don't have any mattifying primers to talk about. And these are both glowy, but they are so in a different way. First off, we have The Ordinary's High-Spreadability Fluid Primer, which is €7.20, which is on the okay side for primers. It's not 20, it's not 30, it's not €40, so we'll go with it for now. It's a silicone primer, it's heavy on dimethicone, it claims to focus on dry skin, on getting that hydration and that smooth application more than anything, getting that nice dewy look. So it doesn't focus mostly on the wear of foundation, and to me the look is more important than the wear personally, because everything wears okay on me. Like, I don't use powder to set, but I use the all-nighter spray, and usually stuff lasts me fine. Nothing ever melts off my face, so I prioritize the look of things over the longevity of them. Now, this is in my current makeup bag. I use this every day. It's a cheap primer, but I use it with my most expensive foundations. Like, I use it with my Armani Luminous Silk, and it looks wonderful. I've enjoyed this product a lot, and because it's so heavy on dimethicone, I feel like it's kind of similar to the Smashbox primers. If you're looking for what that original Smashbox primer would do to people's skin, then this is probably a good alternative, and it's half the price, so definitely check this out. It comes in a dropper, and be careful with it because you don't actually have to squeeze for it to come out. It just kind of starts dripping out. It is colorless, it is smooth, and it spreads out really well. It is called the High-Spreadability Fluid Primer, so I guess it has to, but that's kind of what silicone does. It just creates this really smooth layer. It spreads out really nicely and just makes sure that your foundation has a really smooth and soft layer to grab onto. Up next, we have the Catrice Beautifying Primer, which is about €4.50. It is a shimmery cream primer. It's kind of similar to the MAC Strobe Cream, but the MAC Strobe Cream is way more watery and hydrating. I feel like this is more creamy. And it has pink shimmers in it, and it's focused on flawless application, but this one also claims to help with longevity, and I guess I can feel that because it feels slightly more tacky and creamy than the Ordinary one, so I guess that does help with the longevity of the wear of your foundation. I bought this because of Mariah Leonard. I always watch her videos and I feel like she has the same kind of style as I do, and she recommended this and said that she was just blown away by it for the price, so I thought I would pick it up. It comes in a nice pink tube, it has a decent amount in it. I don't have much to say about it other than that if you are also looking for that flawless look and you feel like the Ordinary one is harder to buy for you, or it's just slightly too expensive, or it's just not radiant enough and you want more of that shine and that dewiness, then this one is definitely the one for you. Up next, I'm going to talk about two foundations. Now, for the foundations, I have tried a foundation that is more suitable for oily skin and one that is more suitable for dry skin. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is the one that is one of my favorite foundations ever, and it's so affordable. It's so cheap. It is The Ordinary Coverage Foundation. It's €6.90, and it's supposed to be a satin finish or like a skin-like finish. I don't know what they called it. It's not. It has a very high coverage, and it is definitely really shiny. It's super dewy. If you do not like that dewy slick look, then this is definitely not for you unless you have a really good primer and a really good setting powder that you swear by. It is the most high coverage foundation that I own. It's higher coverage than Luminous Silk. I would call it kind of the same coverage as Milani Conceal and Perfect actually. It comes in a plastic bottle with a hygienic pump that you can twist to lock. I know at first I was really scared when I saw that. I was like, oh my god, it doesn't have a cap. but it twists to lock, so it's fine, it's safe, nothing has ever happened to it. I know the bottle looks small, but it's the standard size. It's an ounce, which is 30 mils, which is every other foundation. So now you know these companies are fooling you. You get this giant glass bottle and it has the same amount as the ordinary bottle. I use 2.0N, which is light medium neutral. It's very olive friendly. I am wearing it on my face right now. It really looks good on my undertones. Their shade range is quite extended. That's one of the reasons that I very much recommend this for an affordable foundation, because affordable foundations often have very limited shade ranges, more focused on a couple of light shades and a couple of medium shades, and this just does the full spectrum in all undertones, and I think it does so pretty well. A little goes a long way with this, and what I like most about it is that because of the high coverage and the fact that you don't need a lot of it, I can also use my beauty blender to apply it. Usually when I'm going for full coverage, and I would recommend that to anyone, I use a stippling brush because the difference between a brush and a beauty blender in coverage is just extremely high. For this one, I feel like I can skip that rule and just apply it with my beauty blender, and it gives a really natural finish compared to the brush. But it doesn't take away much from the coverage. It looks so beautiful when applied with a beauty blender or with any kind of sponge, and I feel like this is definitely the foundation to go for if you have dry skin and you have acne, for example, but you don't want to look really heavy and matte and cakey. The only issue people seem to have with this foundation is wear, so I would definitely suggest to get a primer that suits your skin needs and to get a setting powder or setting spray that suits your skin needs. For me, I like the look of it being dewy and shiny. Other people, of course, oily skin people do not like that, but I've heard of oily people who have really enjoyed it, and I think the difference is in their primer and their setting powder. Up next, we have a slightly more expensive foundation. It is 9 cents more expensive. It is the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. It is a natural skin finish, so you would call it kind of a satin finish. It's not matte, it's not dewy, it's kind of in between. I definitely agree on the skin finish part. It does look a lot like skin. It looks very natural and it does not look cakey at all. It comes in a dropper and it is very liquidy. You have to shake it before you use it. I have the shade 030 Sand Beige, and it's actually a perfect match to my skin tone. Near perfect, I would say. I haven't checked the undertones exactly. But the only downside of this foundation is that it only comes in 4 shades. 4 shades is so limited. That's definitely not enough. It's only the mid-range, and I've heard people complain about the lightest shade not being light enough. I've heard people complain about definitely the darkest shade not being dark enough. If you have nothing that is even close to the color of brown, then your shade range needs expanding. So I hope that with the rising popularity of this foundation, they will extend the shade range, because this is unacceptable, to be honest. I need more product with this one than I do with the ordinary one, but it's really buildable. It doesn't cake up when you build multiple layers. You can go over the parts that aren't getting covered well enough. Oily people, I would advise you do powder this, because if for me this looks perfect, then for you, you probably need some kind of oil control. So like I said, the priming and the setting is pretty important. If you can get a nice shade match in one of these 4 shades, then I definitely recommend you check this out. Both of these foundations that I just mentioned, I think could suit either side of the spectrum from dry to oily, depending on the way that you prime and set it, like I mentioned. I own the Tarte Shape Tape, I own the NARS Radiant Creamy, I own the Maybelline Age Rewind. None of them are as good as this one. It comes in a regular plastic tube with a doe foot applicator. It says it's full coverage. I agree that it's full coverage. I use the shade 020 Light Beige. Again, Catrice, the shade range is not that amazing. If you're light or medium depth, then you could look into this. A little goes a long way. I only apply a drop under each eye and then tap it in with my fingers. Before I struggled with under eye concealer, and now that I have found this, I finally understand the hype with under eye concealer. It makes my entire face look so much better. It's so radiant. It makes me look so perfected and awake and glowing, and now I can't imagine my makeup routine without it anymore. I recommend this from the bottom of my heart to everyone, because even if it doesn't work out, even if I have like a really weird skin type and this is the only one that works for me because I'm so weird, it's 3.5 euros. Who the hell cares? Like, give it to a friend. I can't not hype this. Like, I feel like I can't even hype this enough. The fact that it outperforms Tarte Shape Tape on me, I think says a lot. I look different now because last week while I was filming, the sun went down. I didn't manage to create all the footage that I had wanted to within the time frame that I had. I don't have fancy studio lighting, so I'm fully dependent on sunlight, which means that if the sun goes down, I just can't film anymore. The final product that I have is a very famous one. It's the RealTechniques Miracle Complexion Sponge. These orange sponges are very popular and they're usually seen as a dupe for the Beauty Blender. I agree that they're a dupe, but I find them slightly better than the original Beauty Blender. I buy them off iHerb. I get a 4-pack. It's like about 13 euros if I'm correct. Either way, I calculated it and it comes down to about 3.5 euros per sponge, which I find insane. The quality on these is so good. You can use them wet or dry. I always use them wet. They are slightly less soft than the Beauty Blender, but I like that. I don't know how to describe the difference between it and the Beauty Blender, but I feel like this one does a better job in some aspects. I just feel like overall, if you do not have the money for a Beauty Blender, then spending like 12 or 13 euros on 4 of these, I highly recommend. Do not buy, because if you're gonna go to like a drugstore and buy their cheap, really hard, tough, kind of silicone-y even sometimes beauty sponge, I would much rather that you would just spend your money on this, get 4 of them, which comes down to the same price as your drugstore cheap one, and you get such a high quality. That sums up all of my affordable favorites. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please tell me what your favorite affordable products are. The next video is gonna be about skincare. I'm gonna talk you through the basics of skincare. It's gonna be the launch of my skincare series, which was very much anticipated. I am so looking forward to sharing it with you. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and if you don't follow me on my other socials yet, they are in the description and they will pop up as soon as I'm done talking. Other than that, I have listed below what I was wearing on my face when I first started this at the beginning of the video and what I'm wearing on my face now, because there is a difference. I'm sorry. And I will see you in the next video.